diverse laws and precepts. That is what covers Leviticus 19, 20, 21, 22. Here we studied from last week or so, a week before last, we studied 18, talk about unlawful relationships or unlawful relations, where is in the situation you don't have to defile yourself with members of your family. You don't have to defile yourself with animals. You don't have to defile yourself with even strangers that are in your home. You don't have to defile yourself with those who are close to you. They could be your friends. Even with animals, Yahweh hates it. They are all called abomination before Yahweh. So that talk about the unlawful relations, diverse laws and precepts continue in chapter 19. Now we have done a bit of this 19, but I want us to pick something from 19. Verse 18 there says, "Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh. Bear no grudge against the children of thy people." Israel is family. Israel is reckoned in the eyes of Yahweh as his own people, his own family. So amongst themselves, they live as neighbors, as family members. So what he says in chapter 18 also applies. It showcases how they will live as one people who love themselves. It's all about love. Here he's talking about love for your neighbor. And we know very well, Leviticus chapter 19 here, verse 18, is telling us how we must comport ourselves. Matthew chapter 19, the young rich ruler wanted to enter the kingdom. He asked Yeshua, "How will I make it? How will I obtain life? How will I enter into eternal life?" Now, Yeshua asked him, "Have you kept the commandments?" This is the commandment he's asking him. Love your neighbor. Neighbor. In that particular 39, he said, you must love your neighbor. As you love Yahweh, love your neighbor. Without the love for Yahweh and the neighbor, then the person cannot have a place in the kingdom. So, on and on, the Old Testament, the New Testament concord with Leviticus chapter 19:18, that we must love one another. And Yahweh put his signature there. If you look at it, he said, "I am Yahweh." Anytime he speaks or he gives a statement or he gives directive or instruction, and at the end you see "I am Yahweh," it showcases his signature. It showcases his authorization to that instruction, to that law. So Leviticus 19, particularly that verse 18, caps what we have been looking at or studying in the book of Leviticus. We should not forget that book of Leviticus is drawing us to understand that Yahweh is holy, we must also be holy. And that is why it's talking about clean and unclean. It's talking about how you purify yourself, how you make yourself holy, set apart for Yahweh. Right, let us go to chapter 20, Leviticus 20 now. We may not, take it all or take it verse by verse. I asked you last week to go through them. I don't know how many of us that did that. At any rate, let me just pick some few areas here. It said, verse 1, and Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whatsoever he be of the children of Israel or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. This is one of the things that Yahweh hates in his commandments. Yahweh urges us never to do anything that has to do with Gentile idols. Avoid Gentile idols. Here he's talking about Molech. Molech was the god of this hidden nation, Gentile nation. They take this Molech is like demands children sacrifice, loves to take blood. So they will take their children to Molech and sacrifice their youngs, their children to Molech. At times, they will prepare a fire and they will call the children to jump through the fire, knowingly that those children cannot make it. Some will jump, very few maybe will succeed and overcome. At times, they will jump and fall into the fire. They know it's a trap. They know that if such a child jump and falling, becomes a sacrificial animal to the Molech. So Yahweh warned that this is the manner, the behavior of these Gentile people, whom Israelites were entering into their land, the land of Canaan, the land of Jebusites, and so on, that they should not practice, they should not go their own way to slaughter their children to the idols of these Gentiles. It's a very, very strong message that Yahweh passed on to them. How far they kept it showcased later in their lives, because it didn't last long. After the exit of Joshua, they began practicing sacrificing their children to the Molech. Verse 3 there says, and I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he has given of his seed unto Molech to defile my sanctuary and to profane my holy name. can hear the word that Yahweh used. Defile, profane. What? His sanctuary, place of worship, and 2, his name. Yahweh's name. Yahweh was always protecting his sanctuary, place of worship. Yahweh was always protecting his name. Don't do anything that will corrupt his sanctuary, that will corrupt his name. And we are later going to see how this warning continued. After chapter 20, we'll see how Yahweh continued to guide his name. If you do anything to dent his name, to defy his name, to profane his name, to blaspheme his name, the person is going to be cut off in the land. The only way for the people to remain part of his family is to do his will, to make sure they continue in his Torah way, which expresses his love, which teaches his love unto him and love to themselves, their neighbors. And in order to achieve that, removing idol is critical. Making sure anything that has to do with idol that corrupt or defile or profane or blaspheme his name, his sanctuary, must be taken on board. They must be serious about it. They must not allow it to happen. Verse 4. And if the people of the land do anyways hide their eyes not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go a warring after him to commit whoredom with knowledge from among their people. So on and on, Yahweh, gave this instruction and warned them never ever do anything with knowledge, sacrificing to knowledge, giving away their children to knowledge. Again, verse 9 there, talk about familiar spirits, going after wizards, going a warring after all those, taking away souls, either themselves or, their children, or going to make inquiry from wizards, witches, those that, relate with familiar spirits. He warned Israel that all those are in vogue. They should not be part of it. That is the way of the Gentiles. It's the manner of the Gentiles to go away seeking help where there is no help. Call them wizards, familiar spirits. All those are still on today. All these something mentioned. Even at times, soothsayers. They should not have anything to do with this set of people, because they will corrupt them. They will make them put away their eyes from Yahweh and separate themselves from Yahweh. Inasmuch as they, separate themselves, as soon as they get out from Yahweh, they separate themselves, and they would have succeeded in doing that, cutting off that relationship they have with Yahweh. So Yahweh don't want the relationship he, maintain with his people to be cut off, or anything to come in between. Sanctify yourselves therefore, and be ye holy, for I am Yahweh your Father, and ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am Yahweh which sanctify you. For everyone that curseth his father or his mother shall be surely be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him. So he also warned in all these laws he's putting in place. He also warned, you shall not curse your parents. Never ever curse of parents. It is not only disrespectful. Remember, this particular area of the law is also, picked up in Exodus chapter 20. The 5th law, where he said, honor your father and your mother. This comes through to that point, or to that particular law. Yeshua mentioned this particular, he quoted Leviticus in Matthew chapter 15, where the Pharisees, where he was guiding them, because Pharisees had veered away from the, worshipping of Yahweh. They were following after their traditions. And Yeshua said to them, why would you prefer your tradition, your commandments, to Yahweh's own commandments? So he was telling them that, because he used Exodus chapter, I think that is chapter 20 verse 12, honor to parents. Now he used that particular law to showcase how Israelites had left Yahweh, who is their first parent. Yahweh is our father, number one father before our biological father or mother. How they left Yahweh and followed whatever they found convenient, like leaders, priests. That is what obtains in these latter days. You can see that pastors, priests, and so on, they try as much as possible to buy the hearts of the worshippers, those who come to seek Yahweh. They present themselves, they make themselves, attractive to the people. So the people receive them. Most times it is them first before Yahweh. If they're seeking anything, they're seeking it, or they are going to the pastor or the priest or the leader as if he is the one providing or making way. Their eyes, their first port of call is to their leader. Yahweh don't want that to be happening in his family or in the midst of Israel. This is what the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes, that's how they were leading the people of Yahweh. And they brought down that 5th commandment, dishonoring Yahweh. What should go to Yahweh, what should go to the parents, they take it away. Subtly, smartly, pretending that it doesn't matter, that Yahweh understands. They can use other means to compensate Yahweh. Yahweh said no. Law is law. Once Yahweh institutes a law instruction, it remains. It remains. So Yahweh here is warning every one of us. We must honor our parents. Our parents doesn't stop to our biological parents. Those are our elders, those are our leaders. And that will be after you would have given honor due to Yahweh. Honor must go to Yahweh first before anyone. Honor must also go to Yeshua before any man or woman. or person or leaders. So respect your elders, your leaders, and those that preach the good news, the word of Yahweh. They are your leaders. Respect them, no matter what. If there is any area you find difficult or something you do not understand, don't put your feet down and begin to criticize them. That goes to Yahweh. That goes to father, mother. In fact, we will come across it here, where somebody not just criticized Yahweh, but blasphemed the name of Yahweh. That person was stoned to death. So that is what this law is all about. But now, people will not seem to be receiving immediate punishment as soon as they commit this sin. Sin of disrespecting father or mother or Yahweh. But they will get it when Yeshua returns. In the time of judgment. That is why the Bible has told us that a time of judgment will be coming in the latter days, where everything anybody had done will enter into account or record and be brought out into the fore, and the person will be charged for it, and the person will die as a result of violating the word of Yahweh. So people think that, oh, it is Old Testament, it is, Old Covenant, it's no longer tenable. Who said? Yeshua said, I did not even come to cancel the law. The prophet said, no. You must uphold the law and the testimony of Yahweh. So if Yeshua said he didn't come to cancel it, Moses even gave them the law. Joshua also upheld the law with them, encouraged them, taught them, and asked them to continue. Even at his exit in Joshua chapter 24, Joshua encouraged them to continue the pathway of the law. They should not return to Mesopotamia or do the things that the Gentiles were doing in the land they were living. So nobody canceled the law. Nobody stopped the law. Nobody nailed it to the cross or to stake. It never happened. And will never ever happen. Rather, Yeshua came to magnify the law and to make it honorable, straighten it, put it as it were, how you can understand it and apply yourself. In fact, he came to do more, to give us his spirit that yields into us the fruits, the empowerment. The fruit is the power that we receive from Yeshua to obey, to return to Yahweh, to continue to obey. Because in the time past, mankind left his way, continued to disobey. Love Yahweh, they said no. Love yourself, even, they said no. So Yeshua came to make it easier for us to return to Yahweh. Verse 10, Leviticus 20:10. And the man that commits adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Today, committing adultery is nothing to people. It's nothing to the church leaders. Adultery, Yahweh says no. We all know what adultery is. When a married woman goes and sleeps outside her matrimonial home, when a married man sleeps with another, with opposite sex, the person is committing an adultery. Fornication is a situation where unmarried persons sleep with another. So such person, such a married fellow is committing fornication. So here, Yahweh is telling us, remember the law of thou shalt not commit adultery. So here it's like a reminder. Now verse 11 says, and the man that lieth with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion, their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Romans chapter 1, 26 to 27 talks about homosexual. Homosexual is not permitted. Bestial or whatever they call it, woman sleeping with woman, man sleeping with man, homosexual, is never to be seen or heard of or tolerated in the land of Israel. Yahweh said it's abomination. The world may be enjoying it, the world may be preaching it, the world may put their own law to promote it, which they are doing all over the world today. America is encouraging other nations to go that way. If they don't, follow that trend, they tell them, oh, look, we are giving you, some change, or we are sponsoring some project. If you are not following us, we will cut it off. We will not give you our money. We will not sponsor your projects. We will not, give you grants. The world is doing everything to make all those look glamorous, look as if it is order of the day or way of life. Remember in Leviticus 18, let's refer to that Leviticus 18, where Yahweh was reminding them, when you get into that land, these people have this kind of life as their culture. Life of man marrying man or sleeping with man, woman sleeping with woman. That is their culture. Do not go after that type of culture because it's their lifestyle. I read verse 1 and 2. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am Yahweh your father. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do not do after their doings or their manner, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Do not follow their rules and regulations that encourage Molech, requesting for children to be sacrificed. Molech drink blood of children. Do not engage yourself into abuse of parents. Do not engage yourself into adultery. Do not engage yourself into homosexual or bestial. Do not, for Yahweh abhors such practices. Anybody that does it will be killed. It will enter into judgment in this our time, because in their own days, in the days of Israelites, in that Canaanite land, Yahweh will allow them to stone such a person. The person will die outright. But since the time of Yeshua asks that murder, killing, shedding of blood should stop until when he returns, when judgment will be administered, and anybody that is found wanting shall die, will be killed. So we must not do or go the way of those people who willfully reject the commandments or the law of Yahweh. And they pretend and they tell you the law is cancelled. It's all things. No, we are in a new era. Yahweh said that is their ordinance. That is their way of life. The kind of ordinance or rules or regulations authorizes or encourages people to go that way. So do not go after their own culture or their values. Their values that are against Torah, against the word of Yahweh, against the practice, against the love of Yahweh, and against the love of your own neighbor. Do not go that way. Verse 12. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion, their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lie with mankind, 13, we said that, verse 14. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness among you. Some men, even today, they don't care. They will sleep the woman, and they will sleep, and he will sleep with the woman's daughter. One man. The Bible said anybody caught doing that is liable to death. Be burnt, be destroyed. It's wickedness, it's abomination. Verse 15. And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and he shall slay the beast. Both the beast and the person, the fellow, woman, man, will die. Today, is it existing? It's rampant. It's cutting, it's like a wildfire. It is everywhere. And they are even advertising it. Facebook and some other. I've come across such a thing. Is it in YouTube? Something like that. We are warned. That is the essence of this. We are warned not to go that way. For Yahweh has never approved or authorized it. Anybody that does it will die. And if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman, and the beast, they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He has uncovered his sister's nakedness, he shall bear his iniquity. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he has discovered her fountain, and she has uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people. This warning continues on and on. Anything that has to do with this unhealthy relationship, it is abomination before Yahweh. Don't sleep with animals. Animals. Animal with mankind. Yahweh said, no, you should not do it. Close family relations, should not do it. Anything that has to do with all these commandments, is the person or somebody is caught by any means violating it, the person will be stoned as at those ancient days. But in this particular time, it is on record, because everybody's deed is going into record. Every time, every moment, Yahweh is taking record of our activities, of our actions, how we are obeying. We wouldn't say we are into diaspora. Israelites are scattered all over the world. They are no longer in Israel, where temple is the hallmark of what they do, how they do what they do. No. Even in the Gentile world. Because this commandment was given, it wasn't given in Israel. It wasn't given when even the temple was built. When they were still, wandering in the wilderness, trying to find their way into the land of Israel. They spent almost 40 years in the wilderness. That was when this law was given. So they began practicing it from there before they get into the land. So nobody has an excuse to say, oh, don't worry, we are into diaspora. We are scattered all over the world. this law doesn't obtain, or Yeshua has come, he died for us. As a result, we are no longer going to do this practice of old continue, because the law is one, it's never broken, and it is called Torah. Torah is one law. It's looked at in the eyes of Yahweh as one law, and it guides Israelites and guides anybody that comes into the fold of Israel or is grafted. One law governs all of them. So that is the commandments of Yahweh. Just try to read that to reiterate what we already know. Now, chapter 21, the law continues. The law continues. But here we are going to kind of select, because I'm believing that I asked you to read all these, believing that you've read them through, just trying to point out some specific areas and to emphasize on them to let us know how serious and how critical they are. Now, somebody hearing us reading this will say, this is old laws, rules that does not apply today. Is as relevant, important, and it is crucial as it were when it was given to them in the wilderness. So don't, throw it away with a wave of hand. Let's go on with chapter 21. And Yahweh said unto Moses, speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, there shall none be defiled for the dead among his people. Let's go on. It's talking about defilement when somebody dies and all that. In those days in the land of Israel, the priests are not to, attend to the dead, or, had anything to do touching the dead and all that. If they do that, they will be unclean. There are certain, prescribed way dead people are buried and so on. So the priests are completely separated. That's separated, which means they are kept or set apart for Yahweh. They are Yahweh's property. And that's why the Levitical priests, the Levites, they don't have any other thing rather than to stand before Yahweh. They were like intermediary between Yahweh and the people. So 24 hours they are for Yahweh. So they must keep themselves clean. Now, verse 5 there says, they shall not make badness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. They shall not shave their head because of the dead. Remember that verse 1 and 2 is talking about the dead people and all that. Why they will not touch the dead and do anything with the dead, in terms of touching or doing anything that will defile them. They should not do that. And they should not, because somebody died, then they shave their head. They should not do anything of such, because they belong to Yahweh, the property of Yahweh. They shall be holy unto their Yah, and not profane the name of their father. For the offerings of Yahweh made by fire and the bread of their Yahweh, they do offer. Therefore, they shall be holy. They are always close to Yahweh. Make sacrifices. So because you call them the right hand people of Yahweh, people that sit before Yahweh, that does whatever that Yahweh wants them to do, and to pass, kind of transact between Yahweh and the people, passing or getting information either from Yahweh to the people or people to Yahweh, they should not do anything that will defile them, profane them, or make them unclean, or else such a person will not only be violating the law of, that is the priestly law or Levitical law. The person will have made himself unusable before Yahweh, and the person can die as a result. They shall not take a wife that is a whore or profane, neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto his Yahweh. He is holy. That is, the priest is holy unto Yahweh. So such a person should not marry, do not marry divorced woman. It's a sin for a priest or a pastor today to do that. Should not marry a divorced woman, a woman that has separated herself from the husband, a woman that has gone away from her matrimonial home. However, the result is, because Yahweh in Genesis said that the woman and the man, they are one. He never bring the culture of separation or divorce. It's not in his diary. Because the Jews or the Israelites try to press and push that, push that, push that. And why? Ask me why. Why is it that matrimonial homes is going into separation, into divorce? Marriages are into chaos. Let's give ourselves assignment. Let's search from the scriptures. Maybe one of these days we discuss about that. We find time to discuss it. We talk about, our matrimonial home issues that arise, matters arising from, family. We talk about something like this. But meantime, the assignment is going to be check. One, whether Yahweh commands a man and a woman should separate after they are joined together. For what I know, Genesis is very, very vital. Very, very vital. Genesis chapter 2. And when Yeshua came, the Jewish leaders called him and said, Moses told us, when a woman misbehaves, if she just walked away because of unchastity, and the only solution is to give her a certificate of divorce, take her away, divorce her, and marry another one. So Yeshua, after trying to bend Yeshua, trying to find out what Yeshua would respond or say to that, Yeshua told them they should refer to Genesis chapter 2. From beginning, he that made them man and woman, husband and wife, created them or made them to be one. That one is inseparable. Because you can't separate one, can't divide one. One divide one, what do you get? One divide by two, what do you get? You can't divide one. One is insplittable, you can't split one. So, let's do a research and find out what Yahweh pronounced on that. Why I'm emphasizing on this is that today, Mommy, can you read for us Ezekiel 44:22. What did Yahweh say concerning this issue through the mouth of the prophet Ezekiel?
Ezekiel 44
verse 22.
Verse 22. Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away, but they shall take mediums of the seed of the house of Israel, a widow that had a priest before.
Well, there is kind of a clause there. If a priest or a pastor should marry, it should be that pastor maybe hasn't married or is a widower, then if he is marrying a widow, that widow must not have any relationship. That widow should be widow. Now, the emphasis there is that Yahweh authorized a priest or a pastor to marry a virgin. Virgin.
It's not clear, please.
Read that place again.
Ezekiel 44, verse 12, 22. Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away, but they shall take maidens and the seed of the house of Israel, or a widow that had a priest before.
Okay. Yeah, there is a place I read telling them to marry a virgin. All that was for purity, is for, cleanness, and, so that anything that has to do with defilement will not be named amongst them. That was the reason for that. Let me check out that Ezekiel 44, 22. Ezekiel 44, 22.
The mediums you are talking about, is it?
Just a minute.
As virgins.
22 says, neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away. So they are not taking a widow or anyone that is put away, but they shall take maidens of the seed of the house of Israel. That is a virgin. Yes, that virgin. I read it somewhere apart from here, but as Ezekiel is confirming it here. And that person must be from Israel, not outside Israel. Today, what do you see? Children go out there to choose whoever they like. It doesn't care. This is the word of Yahweh. Once we know the truth will set us free. We must abide by his instructions. That is what makes us, flourish in the vineyard of Yahweh. Obedience. Now it says, or a widow that had a priest before. Now, that widow there is a widow outside somebody who is not a priest. A widow, marrying a widow, any widow out there, a widow that never married a priest is not allowed. A widow that the priest is allowed is a widow that formerly married, whose husband was a priest and died. So the woman becomes a widow. That is only where such a priest will go after a widow who had a priest before. Now, important point, read for me 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 3. Paul addressed this issue, 1 Timothy 3 verse 2. In today's world, teachers of today, pastors of today, encourage remarriage. They encourage their members to remarry. They themselves also remarry. They said, no, the Old Testament thing is gone. It's not feasible again. We don't need to abide by the Old Testament thing. So it is very, very common today. Very, very rampant. You see those who call themselves men of God, as they call themselves, getting, divorcing their wives for whatever reasons they may give. And you see them getting married. It is rampant. Read it for me, 1 Timothy.
1 Timothy 3 verse 2. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. Verse 3. Not given to wine, nor striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous.
Even office of a bishop, a office, whatever, in as much as the person is, a servant of Yeshua, be he a pastor, be he apostle, be he a teacher, be he evangelist, he should not go outside these regulations. Okay. Such a person, bishop, pastor, must be blameless, husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior. You see, why one wife? Following the regulation, following the instruction, following the Torah. He never, even the kings, Yahweh commanded in those days, kings should have one wife. But unfortunately, Israelites dishonor that, disobey that. And where did they learn marrying 2, 3, 4, 10, and quantum? It is in the Gentile world. They remove their eyes into the nations of the world. Yahweh says, do not do after their doings, or their manners, or their ordinances. Whether what you knew from Egypt, or in the land you are going. And one will say, oh, particularly the so-called churches of today, you say, no. That was then. We are in a new, covenant. Torah or the law has been nailed into the cross or stake. Therefore, don't talk about that again. We are, privileged to do whatever we like because we are under grace. Grace allows us to, because the blood atoned for whatever sins. Once saved, forever saved. We don't need to, even the sin of the past, the sin of today, the sin of tomorrow, the blood has taken care of it. Well, if you feel you commit sin, just say a small prayer, repentant prayer, Yahweh understands. Grace, grace. That is what obtains today by that deception of great grace message, grace doctrine. They have all violated the word of Yahweh, the voice of Yahweh, the commandments of Yahweh, which binds us, which makes us Israelite, which makes us royal priesthood, which even sustain our priesthood, that office. Without keeping to the instruction, we are not working for him. Thou shalt sanctify him, therefore, for he offereth the bread of thy Yahweh. He shall be only holy unto thee. For I, Yahweh, which sanctify you, am holy. Yahweh keep on telling us how holy he is. I am holy, holy, holy. Why must we be chaste? Why must we not, defile ourselves? Getting married to ourselves, sleeping with ourselves. Why must we maintain the culture of, for instance, a pastor, a priest, or whoever, maintaining, keeping to himself, being chaste at all times? Because of holiness. Yahweh wants us to be holy, to be set apart. Set apart. We are set apart people. This is what makes us Israelites. Anybody that is not set apart is a Gentile. And who is a Gentile? A Gentile is one who does not have Torah and never have Yahweh with him. The word, Torah, the word, Yahweh, the person doesn't have it. The person becomes a Gentile. So the person will be doing all these that Yahweh listed that are abomination. The Gentile does it without recourse to what is holiness, without recourse to, following after righteousness. So it's their way of life. But to us, he said, no, it's not the way of your life. You have to follow after my way because I am holy. You keep on saying, I am holy. Another name for Yahweh you want to ask me is, holiness. Holiness. In fact, somewhere, I think it's in Jeremiah or Isaiah. When Yahweh will be entering Jerusalem, when he returns, the name will be changed to holiness. So for you to enter Jerusalem at all, and that is why he's preparing his people. Why? You ask yourself, why is it that Yahweh says, Israel, Egyptians you see today, you will see no more. That means you are not going to go to Egypt again, or Egypt will not harass you again. Therefore, you are going home, you are free. Why is it that Israel find themselves in diaspora again? Because they were not holy. Yahweh was looking at holiness, because if you must follow Yahweh, you must be holy. Be ye holy as I am holy, because you are after my, you have taken my character, you live in line with my character. Therefore, do not profane yourself, do not defile yourself, do not make yourself, unclean. Else, you will not be part of my kingdom. So, Israel, Jerusalem, being the capital, shall be called holiness. At the time Yahshua will come to create or to bring in his kingdom. Verse 9. Leviticus 21, verse 9. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaned her father, she shall be burnt with fire. If your daughter mess herself up, in those days in the land of Israel, that daughter will be burnt. Even before the father will know it, before the parent will know it, the child is burnt. The leaders, provided there are 2 witnesses, 2 or 3 persons that witness what the chap did, that lady will be burnt. What about today? Yahshua said such a person will, if she will not repent, will face judgment when he returns, and that will be death. Because they are the people that destroy the earth. He said, all that destroy the earth,
verse 20, verse 9. 21 verse 9.
That's where I'm explaining now.
Yeah, I'm saying it is no longer in vogue for parents to burn their daughters.
That's what we are saying. When they were in the land of Canaan, when they entered that land, that was what obtained. Provided there are 2 witnesses, that child will die. But when Yahshua came, he said, when he returns, such people, they think they do it secretly, they hide and walk away, they do it secretly. It is entered in a book. Even Malachi said there is a book. New Testament told us there is a book. Everybody is being, whatever our deeds are being recorded. When Yahshua came, the book will be opened. So the book was opened. And anybody whose name is not found in the book will die. They are the people that he said have committed abomination, have, transgressed, they have defiled the earth. Right, verse 10. And he that is the high priest among his brethren, upon whose head the anointing oil was poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not uncover his head, nor rend his clothes. Now, this verse 10 is important. You will see people today putting this headgear, the priest. Here, the message or the instruction is for high priests, Aaron and his children. Aaron then was the high priest. Aaron is commanded as high priest to put on that headgear. Should wear it, the mitre, wear it, and because it's consecrated, set apart. And with the garments. They put it on with the clothes. They have special garment or clothes which they wear. So Aaron will put on the headgear, and the priests plus the garments. Then the children of Aaron will put on the priestly garments. Now, today it's like some people are debating whether it is still in vogue. Now, you find out that culture was for high priests. You asked me today, do we have high priests? Remember, the office of high priest has been transferred. As it were, it has been transferred. Now, let's look at that. But before then, let us look at Exodus 29, where this was recommended. Exodus 29, where it was first mentioned. And this is the thing that thou shalt do unto them to hallow them, to minister unto me in the priest's office. Take one young bullock and all that. Exodus 29, 1 to 9. Okay, let me go on. Verse 6 there, or taking it from 5. And thou shalt take the garments and put upon Aaron the coat and the robe of the ephod and the breastplate, and guard him with the curious girdle of the ephod. And thou shalt put the mitre upon his head. Mitre. So this thing, that headgear is called mitre. M-I-T-R-E. Mitre. Upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the mitre. So here is referring that this should be put upon his head. He's referring to Aaron. He's referring to the high priest. So this mitre is meant for the high priest. Verse 7. Then shalt thou take the anointing oil and pour it upon his head and anoint him. That was when Aaron was being prepared or consecrated for this office of high priest. And thou shalt bring his sons and put coats upon them. So what is the sons going to receive? How is Moses requested or asked to dress the sons? Coats, the garments. That's what they have. It's not the mitre. The high priest only has the mitre. Because today, you see pastors, priests, whatever, they put on mitre, they put on like Pope and all his people, they put them on. I don't know whether they are following the scriptures or it is for the high priest. So if the office of the high priest exists, this particular one should be, this mitre should be worn. But that office is resting in Yeshua. That is to say, inasmuch as this commandment remains in the hands of Yeshua, because it still holds. It's not cancelled, remember. It still holds, but it rests in Yeshua. But when Yeshua was calling us into his own office as well, which is pastoral office, apostleship, teachers,
apostles,
prophets, and so on, did he command that mitre should be put on? Did he tell us to go on with this? Or particular garments? So garments that goes with this, and this is more relevant where you have the temple. It's associated with the temple, because the Leviticus priests, that's what they were called. Today, in the land of Israel, you have the Jewish practice, Jewish people practicing the Judaism, religion. You have them putting on all this and all that. Now you ask them, are they still celebrating the priestly or Levitical assignments that obtained in the past? because the temple is not there. What was happening at their time was that when the high priest, after ministering, he will remove that meter and his garment and put it into a special room. There's a special room meant for all the regalia, whatever they wear. They never take it into the outer court or take it home. Why? If they do that, the Bible said they will defile, they will make it unclean and make themselves unclean before Yahweh. So it was not taken out from the temple. So the temple had fallen, and all those sacrifices are no longer rendered. That is to say, in a way, that this meter something is no longer invoked, because if you are putting it, where are you going to put it? There is no temple. There is no consecrated place of Yahweh where you put all those things after you minister. After you finish administration, you need to return it into a particular place. So if they are still putting it on, they are not following the biblical principles. All we are called to do is to follow Yahweh's instructions. Now, I continue with, just pointed that out to let us know that when you see people advocating for meter, advocating for headgear and so on, don't worry. It's not a requisite material or item that we should worry ourselves about, because it is resting in Yeshua. Now, verse, where is that? Can you read for me Matthew 26, verse 63? Junior, help me, Mark 14, 63. Mommy, read for me Matthew 26, 63. Junior, read Mark 14, 63. Matthew 26, 63.
Okay. But Yeshua held his peace.
Yeshua held his peace,
And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living Yahweh, that thou tell us whether thou be the Messiah, the Son of Yahweh. 64. Yeshua said unto him, Thou hast said, nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall you see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. 65. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witness? Behold, now you have heard his blasphemy.
Okay, Gino, read Mark for me. Mark 14, 63.
Then the high priest rent his clothes and said, What need we any further witnesses?
Okay. You see the high priest rending his clothes. Why did he rend his clothes? The answer is from 63 to 64. Because they have asked Yeshua. They posed a question to him. He said, I adjure thee. The high priest was commanding him in the name of Yahweh to tell them whether he is the Messiah, the Son of Yahweh. Now look at his answer. Now this here is the transfer of office of priesthood to Yeshua. Because the law said the high priest should not uncover his head. He must cover it. Otherwise, it nullifies his position. If he goes ministering without his mitre, that position is null and void. He defiles himself before Yahweh. And also, he must put on his garment. So these two things are important to the priests. Now, look at what happened according to what we read there in Matthew 26, 63 up to 64. When now the high priest When they arrested Yeshua, interrogated him and all that. In the course of interrogation, the high priest asked him to tell them whether you are the one we are expecting, whether you are the Messiah. Now Yeshua responded. Yeshua said unto him, thou hast said, that is, you have said it yourself. Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of the power and coming in the clouds of heaven. So Yeshua said, not only did you confirm that I am the Messiah, but you will see me return back again as the Son of Yahweh, coming with power, returning back to give them the kingdom. When they hear this, in verse 65 there, he said, then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, he has spoken blasphemy. What was that? All along, they never allowed Yeshua to tell them or to claim that he is the Messiah. They hated him, say that. They rejected him. He is not the Messiah. In their ears now, that face to face, he was affirming before them that he is the Messiah. They say, that is the end. In annoyance, the priest, who is never allowed to tear his garment or to remove his mitre, now tore his garment. Because Israelite, that was kind of their culture. If they are vexed or they are annoyed, they tear their clothes. Yeshua said, tear your heart, not your clothes. So at the end of the day, tearing that garment nullified his office. So his office there and then rested in the hands of Yeshua. Hebrews 7 verse 12. They make sure that they put before in the Holy of Holies, in the holy, not Holy of Holies now, in the holy part of the sanctuary, there's a table and all that. There's a portion where the priest has to place cake, and Yahweh prescribed how that cake will be made. At the end of the day, it must not be blemished. It must be clean, it must be pure. And he told them how they will present it, and they should leave it. After the service, the high priest and his people, his lieutenants or the priests that work with him, they eat that bread. It's meant for them. And it's only those that are clean that should eat it. Otherwise, they will die. Why? Any food meant for Yahweh, the priest eats it. The high priest is for the high priest. When they talk about tithes, he made, because why he made that provision, he said they don't have any other work. Their work is to, hear from him, pass his instruction or his messages to his people, and worship Yahweh, serve Yahweh. It's a service unto Yahweh and to the people as well. So that is the work of the high priest, to obey Yahweh, to do what Yahweh commands him to do. He has nothing to do with the world he is a consecrated person, he's a holy person. His duty is to face the work of Yahweh. Does it apply to us today? Yes. But you can see that pressure is overwhelming this our generation. It's overwhelming this our generation. That most of all these principles, we lost them. We must find time to put ourselves in the position he wants us to be, so that we will not corrupt ourselves and we will become relevant. Once you are not clean, you can't hear from him. I mean, you can't work with him. You can't. Once one is not clean, you get nothing. You receive nothing. People think Yahweh is anyhow. Look at what we've been discussing in the book of Leviticus. If one is not clean, the person is ostracized, even from his own people. When somebody wets the bed, or when somebody, you're unclean, find yourself unclean, all of a sudden, try that day, all your clothes, you strip it, wash it, and remain in the house until evening, until sundown. Then when you'll be clean again. And by that time, you will have washed yourself. And if by any defilement or making yourself blemish, then you undergo 7 days. 7 days stay at home. At the 7th day, you wash your clothes and all that. By the 80th day, you go and make, atonement for cleansing in the temple. So, anybody, unfortunately, what the world is doing today, they call themselves pastors, pope, do this. Do whatever they like. At the end of the day, they say they hear from Yahweh. It's not Yahweh, it's another. Because that another lets all those. Yahweh doesn't take it because it's not his way. He goes and works with men, with mankind, the Gentile, pastoral, or the way they have marshaled out how they follow, whoever they follow or whoever they obey. That's from 19, 20, 21 up to 24. Talk about blemish, talk about defilement, talk about blemish. Anything that has to defy you, do not be part of it. As he's talking to the priest, he's also talking to the congregation or the assembly members. Chapter 22. I thought we will do more than this, but I'm going to summarize it. So this blemish of a thing continues in this particular area, still about the law, how to keep the law. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and his sons, and they separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel, and that they profane not my holy name in those things which they hallow unto me. I am Yahweh. Yahweh's name, we mentioned that before. Yahweh's name is holy. We must protect it. And that's why he said, do you know my name? Do you know my son's name? You must know whom you serve, whom you worship, whom you bow to, or else you'll be doing something different. You'll be bowing or you'll be worshiping another. And that is a big sin. Then how will you now be relating with him, talk about holiness, righteousness, and making sure that you separate yourself from anything that is unholy or or sinful. So Yahweh wants us to maintain his name. And this goes back to Exodus chapter 20 verse 7, where he talk about his name. Do not blaspheme my name or take my name in vain. We should not do anything that will defile his name, cut off his name, remove his name, pollute his name, or put away his name, replace his name with another. That is terrible abomination. We should not do that. Verse 6. The soul which has touched any such shall be unclean until evening, and shall not eat of the holy things, unless he wash his flesh with water. There are certain sins. We have, seen some of them or listened to some of them mentioned in chapters 14, 15, 16, and so on. We should, when we are unclean, when we find ourselves unclean, all you need to do is to stay away. Don't go touching holy things. For instance, ministering. For instance, teaching. For instance, working in the assembly or into the tabernacle or into the temple or to minister. No. The priest will not do that. Stay home until evening. Then you wash yourself. You can now go out. And, So cleanness is very, very important. This chapter 22 is like recapping what we've been saying all along. Verse 10. There shall no stranger eat of the holy thing. A sojourner of the priest or an hired servant shall not eat of the holy thing. Somewhere we are told that when Saul was pursuing David and he was running for his life, he and his bodyguards or his soldiers, they were running away, and at a particular point he met a priest. He entered into the synagogue, and they were all hungry. And David said whether the priest had anything for the boys. The priest said nothing except the bread for the priest. Remember, every Sabbath there is a particular bread or cake that is meant for the priests. But the priests, they have to put it in a certain position or particular place after the service, that the priests, the high priest and the priest, they will go and eat it. So that is the very kind of bread that he's talking about here, which David, when he met the high priest, asked him whether there is anything, he said, no, there's nothing but that bread. So it was this consecrated bread that David said, don't worry, we have cleansed ourselves, we are holy. That was the presentation of David. Because David knew that only the high priest and priest eat it. In fact, Yeshua at a time when the Pharisees accosted him, that his disciples woke up early in the morning during the Sabbath and went into the farm to pluck the ears of corn. They were eating early in the morning, they were defiling themselves, they were breaking the law and so on. Yeshua said, did you remember about this eating thing? How David went to a priest and asked for the sacred bread. And he ate. Though it was not befitting or holy for David to do that. Because it's only meant for the priests or the high priests. But David partook on that. Yet Yahweh did not count it against him or charge him to kill him. In that circumstance, every circumstance, most times these laws, because ordinarily David would have died. Ordinarily Yahweh would have killed him for eating that bread. But because this man had been running up and down without food with his, bodyguards and all his soldiers. And they were hungry. They were hungry. When somebody is hungry, don't starve him. That's what Yeshua was preaching to those Pharisees. When all those guys went into the field to pluck the ears of corn, not that they were pluck it and put it in their pocket or went and begin to cook it in their house. No. They were eating it there. And they were charging them, why are you eating this early morning? Yeshua said, remember David, he was hungry. And he ate the sacred bread. So don't charge these people. Or else you first of all go and arrest David. Charge him before you come and pick these my people here. So most times, that's why Yeshua said, judge righteously. They were not judging righteously. David may have broken the law, but then circumstances at times weigh in. When circumstances weigh in into that law, and you have to examine, when you are judging, you have to look at the circumstances. There is certain, issues that are brought about if it is breaking that law. That circumstances, handle it first. But human beings doesn't look at that area. Say, the law has said, that is it. It's gone. And that is why the Bible also said that we are saved by grace. Not by our righteousness, not by fulfilling the law. Because most times when it comes to that area where there is conflict of maybe there is hunger or there is issues, circumstances that you have to overcome before you now say you're obeying the law. How will you overcome? How will you obey the law in that circumstance? You can't. So there, Yahweh steps in, Yeshua steps in to bail us out. That is where grace comes in. Favor, unmerited favor. Because of his favor. Otherwise, the law requires you to obey it before you do whatever. So favor is always what helps us to enter into the kingdom. But are you going to live out obeying the law as it were? It says you can't leave the law. You can't abandon the law. Continue. Do your best. Observe what Yahweh asks you to observe. Do what Yahweh asks you to do to the best of your ability. I will not obey. And now I have faith in Yeshua. He has given me grace. Therefore, I am not careful to obey anything again. Because he has taken away my sins. I'm all right. If you try that, you'll be tempting him. And that will be death. 22:19. Verse 19. Ye shall offer at your own will a male without blemish of the beefs of the sheep or of the goats. 21. And whosoever offered a sacrifice of peace offerings unto Yahweh to accomplish his vow, or a freewill offering in beefs or sheep, it shall be perfect to be accepted. There shall be no blemish therein. 25. Neither from a stranger's hand shall ye offer the bread of Yahweh of any of these, because their corruption is in them, and blemishes be in them. They shall not be accepted for you. It's talking about, being clean. Strangers shall not eat holy bread, holy food. Whatever that is of holy, strangers shall not come close to it. What if you are not, even if you are a member or a family member, but anything that is consecrated to Yahweh, you are not appointed, you are not conscripted to be part of it, or to be in that position or office. Do not. If you are not called to handle any position or any assignment, do not. He is a jealous Yahweh. Because by virtue of who you are, you jump in, you may not be clean in his eyes. You may not be qualified to handle that, because by virtue of who you are, you are not clean. So Yahweh, that's why he's talking about consecration, consecrating his own people, pastors, priests, those whom he has called to a particular position. Everybody to your position, you have to be focused in whatever he called you to do. Do not jump fences, or do not jump queue, or do not violate his instructions and do what he never commanded you. Verse 29. And when you will offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving unto Yahweh, offer it at your own will. This is important. When you are giving offering, even today, thanksgiving offering, free will offering, whatever offering, or even your tithe, do it from your heart, willingly. But it's not by compulsion. Yet, Yahweh take record. Yahweh take record. It's not by compulsion. It's not compulsory. Nobody is forcing you. But Yahweh says he has a book recording your deeds. Because when the time comes, you open the book. Some people may have just willingly removed their name because of maybe stinginess, or saying it doesn't matter. If I don't give to him, it doesn't matter. Yahweh said you have to give it cheerfully, willingly, out of your own free will. Give to him. He loves a cheerful giver. 31. Therefore shall ye keep my commandments and do them. I am Yahweh. So he said that all these I have said to you, they are commandments of Yahweh. Do them. 32. Neither shall ye profane my holy name. So repeating that again. Keep his commandments and make sure you keep his name holy as well. And Yeshua summarized all these things we are talking about in Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 and 10. Remember when he was talking to the assembly of Philadelphia, saying, because you have paid attention to my instruction, to my word, to my commandments, and you have kept my name, you never denied my name. So here, Yeshua summarized what we've been talking about since, that commandments, what Yahweh commanded, plus his name, equal to approving you to his righteousness. That is the implication. Equals to approving you to righteousness. You are the doer, commandments, and you are upholder of his name, keeping it sacred, making sure his name is holy, making sure that you do not allow his name to be destroyed, defiled, blasphemed, polluted, or made in vain. If you are a keeper of his name, you possess righteousness. And there is no way you cannot make it into the kingdom. There is no way at the end one will not make it into the kingdom. Because that is what summarizes the commandments. In fact, Revelation chapter 14, make this summary again. 14 verse 12. And he said, here is the patience of saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yeshua. Did you hear that? You must keep his commandments. And you must have faith in Yeshua. Having faith in Yeshua, you are going along with his name. You flow with his name. Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 and 10. Revelation 3, 8 and 10. Revelation chapter 3, 8 and 10. He said, I know thy works. Behold, our works are doing all these things he commands us to do. Those are our works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it, for thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, my commandments, and hast not denied my name. And verse 10, you see the blessings there. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So, as the earth or the world or the people are, approaching or entering into the great tribulation and the wrath of Yahweh, he will keep his own. Who are his own? Those that has kept his word, his commandments, and never denied his name. That summarizes all what we've been, reading all this way. Beginning from Genesis. That is Torah. That the name of Yahweh, keep his commandments and keep his name. Holy. Do what he asks you to do. That is the summary of Torah. Chapter 23. Chapter 23. Can we? Now, we don't need to belabor ourselves in chapter 23. Why? Because chapter 23 showcases what we do, the feast we do. So, can you name them? Let us go with the feast chapter 23. Can you name them? Number 1. Can you unmute? Help us. Can you unmute if you are there with us? Leviticus 23.
We have the weekly Sabbaths.
Weekly Sabbaths. Yes, we have weekly Sabbaths. Thank you. Weekly Sabbaths. Great. That is number 1, really. Yeah? What else do we have there?
New moon.
Sorry?
New moon.
The new moon. All right. Let's put the new moon on top or even bottom, whichever. Because the new moon is like marking, telling us is the monthly something which dictates what we do. Okay, let me still put new moon here. New moon. Okay. The third one.
Passover and living bread.
Passover and unleavened bread. That one. Unleavened bread is 7 days. Passover is 1 day, which is 8 days there. All right. The fourth one.
Pentecost.
The Feast of Pentecost. Good. Pentecost. The fifth one.
The trumpet.
The Feast of Trumpets. Yes. Okay.
Atonement.
The sixth one.
Atonement.
Atonement.
Tabernacle.
The seventh one,
Tabernacle.
Feast of Tabernacle. The eighth one,
The last great day.
sorry?
The last great day.
Last great day. Good. Okay. Now we have these feasts. According to Genesis, according to the book of Genesis, Yahweh said he has given us the moon, the sun, the star for to account for the season, how we will be operating seasonally and doing all that he commands us to do. And we have the new moon celebration that mark whatever we do. And this new moon also tell us when we begin the actual feasts, the annual feasts. So new moon determines when we begin our feasts. Also beginning from the feast of Passover. Now let me ask you a question. Weekly Sabbaths, new moon or new moon, weekly Sabbath, Passover, up to the last great day. These are feasts, weekly feasts and annual feasts. Why did Yahweh charge us to keep these feasts? What reason? What reason? What reason does Yahweh have? Yahweh had reason. That is a purpose. What reason or reasons does Yahweh have for asking us to keep these commandments? What are the reasons?
Plan for salvation.
Obedience.
Plan for salvation.
Well, obedience. How can you explain what is obedience doing here? Yeah, we see reasons. If you say obedience, I know obedience comes in there, but why? I heard mommy said
Salvation.
salvation. Beautiful. Salvation. Salvation, or you call it what? Redemption. Salvation or redemption of our life. How will I enter into the kingdom? How will I be saved? How will I be delivered? How will I be redeemed? We are to be redeemed in this diaspora, this Gentile world, because we have messed up ourselves. We all had become Gentile people. How will we be returned as Israelites, as people of Yahweh, as covenant covenant people, as people that are holy? Israelites are not, in fact, another name for Israelites is holiness, as Yahweh is holy. So be ye holy as I'm holy. That is what he told us. You must be like your father. So the reason, number one reason really, is that he wants to save us. That's the plan, the master plan. In fact, here I call it the plan of Yahweh. The plan of Yahweh is centered in these feasts. That if we continue to keep them, celebrate them, then we will have idea not only of who we are, because only Israelites, covenant keepers, those that keep the commandments and know his name and keep his name holy, they are the people that are meant to be saved, to be redeemed, to be delivered. Deliverance. That's another name for these three. Call it salvation, redemption, deliverance. So, how will you be saved? What will you be doing to be saved? What will you be doing to be saved?
Keeping the commandments of Yahweh.
Keeping the commandments of Yahweh. all of his commandments, all that we have been reading since. Now you talk about obey. Obey his voice, his commandments. And that is Exodus chapter 19 verse 5 is key here. And if you look at verse 5, it says, it is now you are called Israelites, the chosen people, the royal priesthood, the very peculiar people. So that is authority. Exodus 19:5 is authority to what we are doing. We are commanded to obey. We are commanded to obey his law. All that we have been talking about since Torah, uphold Torah, keep his name holy. That is our authority. And that is what qualifies us to be called holy people, Israelites, clean people. And that's why Israelites of old were able to say Gentiles are sinners. But unfortunately, Israelites turned to Gentiles. So what right have they got to call Gentiles sinners? And you can see that when they will see what was going on, say, you that is calling them sinners. And these sinners will turn around to obey, observe, do what you, Israelites, we are commanded to do. Those things we are commanded to do, we are not doing. These Gentiles are doing it. Therefore, Yahweh now put everything on the playing field. He said, okay, everybody now, you are in the Gentile, you are with them, everybody have to come through a particular name called Yeshua. Yeshua becomes our deliverer. That whosoever will believe in Yeshua now and obey Yeshua, believe in Yeshua, obey his word, his commandment, hear his voice, the person will obtain his grace to do what? Grace for what? For righteousness. Junior, this one is finished. For righteousness, grace for righteousness, and grace for what? You obtain righteousness. What next? What follows? Brethren, are you following what we've been talking about here? The key for us to be part of Yahweh, his family members, to be saved, is that we obey him. Obey what? All those instructions. All those he has given to us. The commandments, the feasts, and everything. And because nobody was able to obey, to fulfill what he was teaching us, now he made it easier to do by doing what? By giving us his son Yeshua, who gave us his fruits to do what? To obey. The fruits is empowerment for us to obey. Obey his commandments, hear his voice, obey it, and keep on following Yeshua that gave you the fruits of the Spirit. There, in that way, you are what? You obtain his mercy. He shows you mercy. His mercy continues. Well, it's not because we are doing, it's not because we are obeying that you obtain mercy. Mercy came before obedience. Because we had all fallen away. He, on his own, by his mercy, by his grace, by act of his own way to favor us, he gave us his son to deliver us, to rescue us from disobedience, to rescue us from, defiling ourselves, polluting ourselves. Now, having done that, by that act of grace he showered on us, bestowing unto us his fruits, we now comply, we begin to obey, then it is there and then counted to us as righteousness. I mean, when you are, that is what happened to Abraham. Abraham listened to Yahweh, obeyed Yahweh, and followed Yahweh. That is having faith in Yahweh. And it was accounted to him as righteous or righteousness. So having gotten the righteousness of Yahweh through his grace, not by our merit, not by our doing, now we are qualified for what? For the kingdom. And here you say salvation. You obtain the salvation. And therein we enter the kingdom. That is how it works. That is the formula. That is the principle. So all we have been talking about here since is that we must take time to separate ourselves so that we will not be like them. A child of Yahweh must be different. When he says to us, you are a woman, you come into the congregation, into the assembly, cover your head. And he said, no. Gentiles, did they do that? This person, did they do that? That person, did they do that? That is the thing that obtains in the Old Testament. That is a huge disobedience. That will be written down for somebody who is doing that. Then when we say, what pertains to a man, a woman should not wear. He said, but we are in a modern world. Israelites are people that are peculiar. Yahweh has carved us out. What we eat, what we drink, what we wear, how we behave. Our character must be like his own character. And we query all those, or we choose and pick what we are to obey and what we are not to obey. The person will not make it. The person will not even find his grace. Even if the person has gotten his grace, he will lose it. And the person will not find his righteousness, neither will he get salvation nor the kingdom. So it's all about obeying what he has commanded us. And that is why we are called Israelites. We are studying what our fathers did. The history of Israel. Who were they? What were they doing? All these things we are pointing out. We must be careful to apply ourselves. It will make sense. And the Yahweh will approve of us if we are seeing this, reading them, and obeying them. And his grace will continue in us. His mercies will continue in us. And he will continue to help us to move forward. He will continue to help us because we are on a journey. Journey into where we'll be saved. Finally redeemed. Finally, be made to enter into the kingdom. That is the goal. And that is the goal of whatever that is preached all over the world. May Yahweh help us to have perfect understanding in all that he is teaching us. May we not lose track. May we not be confused. May he open our eyes and our mind to have perfect understanding and to make it when Yeshua returns, as the trumpet will be blown, that none of us will be found wanting. Abba Father, we thank you. In Yeshua's name we pray. Hallelujah.